Welcome to this sew along video for our Reversible Hobo Slouchy Jumbo bag. So today I'm going to show you how to create this beautiful bag, and in this video we've included a stencil, the one that I'm showing you here now, so you can create your own fabric. So in the pattern you will receive a downloadable SVG file that you can take to anyone that has a laser cutter to have this stencil cut out for you, and you can create the same look and feel that you see here on this video. You can add a lot of detail. Once you've got a paintbrush and paint in the hand, you can do what you would like to. So yes, this is just to give you another way of creating something beautiful and to put your own stamp on it. Right, so let's start with the construction. So with your main fabric, you are going to put the right sides together. You are going to pin it together. Here I love to use my fabric clips. You can use your pins, whatever you like to use. Right, just go all around and pin everything together. Alright, and now with a 1 centimeter seam allowance, you are going to stitch both the long sides and the bottom of your main fabric closed. So we're going to say the main fabric is the stencil fabric. This pattern is reversible, so I will refer to the other fabric as a lining fabric, although it's not a genuine lining fabric. But if you don't want to wear it reversible, you can always just buy a plain lining fabric and make your bag with that as well. So now we are going to create the box corners of this bag. You take your side seam and your bottom seam and you line them up. You will feel underneath your fingers when it's nicely lined up, and the seams are now showing in opposite directions. I find that this really creates the best seam joint. There we go. All right. So now with a 1 centimeter seam allowance, we are going to close that box corner. Now you're going to do it on the other side as well. Yeah, I just show you how nice it lined up. Alright, and now we're going to do it on the other side. Again, side seam, bottom seam, line them up nicely. Good, there you can feel underneath your fingers, you feel that everything is nicely lined up. And we're going to close it as well with a 1 centimeter seam allowance, exactly the same as the previous box corner. Alright, and now we've done both of them. Just check that everything lines up. Beautiful. I just always like to double check myself as I go. So now I'm just going to check that both these corners are exactly the same. There you go, perfect. Alright, so the main bag is made for now. We're going to turn it right side out. push the corners out nicely. There we go. Press with your fingers. You can take this now to the iron as well, and you can press it nice in place. And now you can just put this main bag to the side. We are going to start with the construction for the inside bag. For the inside or the lining bag, we are going to start by creating the pockets. So with a 1 centimeter seam, you are going to turn the side of the pockets with wrong sides facing each other, and you are going to give it a 1 centimeter seam on all the sides of the pockets. Alright, and now that all the sides are done, we are going to do the bottom of both the pockets. Also the same, turn it with wrong sides facing each other, 1 centimeter. You're going to do you're going to have a 1 centimeter seam allowance, the same as the sides. Alright, now both of them are done. We are going to iron our pockets and press the seams nice and flat. And then for the top seam, so that is now the seam that is open that your hand are going to go in. First I press a 1 centimeter fold and then another one of a 2 centimeter fold. You can measure this, you can use your pins. I've done this so many times, so I do it by eye. Okay, and then you do this on both your pockets. I just like to double check myself, see that all the sides lines up nicely to make sure my pockets are nice and square. And then I iron in the middle, just a guideline for myself, so when I line this pocket up with the inside bag, I have a point of reference to work from. So now we're going to create the ties for the reversible bag. This is the thing that makes it reversible, and you can still close your bag. So now you're going to turn wrong sides together on all the long sides, a 1 centimeter to the inside, and you're going to press that. There we go. And then we turn it again to create the tie. Usually at my studio I have nice wooden pieces that I use when I iron to keep everything nicely in place while it cools off. So now I am just going to take one of my books off my shelf and use that to just put it on the ties, just to see that it is nice and flat and pressed and stay in its place. Alright, now my inside or my lining bag, I'm gonna press the center, so that is what I'm gonna line up with my pockets. Okay, and now on my 2 centimeter seam allowance, I'm stitching both of the pockets on the top. And then I am also going to stitch a 3 millimeter seam allowance closer to the edge, and that will just give it a nice finish. And then the top of the pockets are beautifully finished. So this is now where you use that center press that you did. You are going to mark your pocket on the bag for the placement. I use a water erasable pen. Okay, so now both the centers that you've pressed with your iron, you line them up. Great. And then you're going to pin them in place. There we go. And now we are going to mark the other pocket as well. Right, so both of your pockets are now marked and pinned, and now you are going to stitch it. So when you start and when you end, just go back and forth twice or even 3 times, just to really secure the pocket nicely. See that while you are stitching your pocket, that your fabric doesn't fold and make puckers. And this you are doing now with a 3mm seam allowance. You are stitching nicely on the edge of your pocket. And when you get to the corners, you just keep your needle down, you lift your pressure foot, you turn your fabric, see that everything lays nice and flat, and then you stitch again. And like I said, the beginning and the ending, just double stitch, or I like to go even 3 times. Back and forth, back and forth. Make sure it's nicely secured. Good. And yeah, I'll just show you that the cell phone fits nicely into the smaller pocket. And yeah, we are now just going to do the big pockets. And yes, again, just all on the edge of your pocket. Stitch it nice in place. There you keep your needle down. Lift the pressure foot. Turn your fabric. Let the pressure foot go down again. See that your fabric lies nice and flat. And you stitch the bottom closed. There we go. And again, needle down, pressure foot up, pressure foot down. And we go for the last piece. Okay, and secure it nicely in place. There we go. And both the pockets are done. Yay! Alright, so now we are going to put the 2 lining back and front pieces onto each other, right sides facing each other. And we're going to do here the same that we did with the main bag, closing on the long edges and then at the bottom, but at the bottom you're going to leave a piece open. So that piece that we leave open is for the main bag to pull it through once we've joined the 2 bags together. Okay, so all around, just pin both of the panels together. Okay, and now I just want to show you how to make the ties. You can just watch here on this video. It's difficult to explain. Alright, so that was now the right side facing each other. There's a lot of ways to create ties. You can search on YouTube. This is the way I prefer. It's nice and clean. Okay, and now we're going to stitch this little edge closed. Alright, once that is done, we're going to cut the excess fabric away so it's not bulky once we turn it right side out. There we go. And on the corners, just a little snippet. See that you don't cut into the stitching. And now we're going to turn it right side out. So as you turn it out, you just press your corners nicely out. And turn again. Lovely. See that you press the corner out nicely to have a beautiful finish. Nice and clean. There we go. Beautiful. I'm taking it back to the machine and we are going to do a straight stitch just on the long side, the open side. You can do it on both long sides if you prefer. I like to close it just with one straight stitch on the open side. There we go. And then you do that on both your ties. Once your ties are finished, we are gonna do the box corners for the lining bag. Exactly the same steps that you did with your main bag. Side seam, bottom seam, you line them up. Feel under your fingers that they are nicely in place. Take your clips or your pins and pin this in place. And then on both of these box corners, we are just going to close them also with a 1 centimeter seam allowance. And yep, you do exactly the same that you did on the one corner just now. And remember, the seams must show in opposite directions. I know there's a lot of people that just open the seams and line them up like that. So I just find that this way works best for me and that my seams always lines up beautifully. Remember, if you're going to use this bag as a reversible bag, to really take your time and finish these box corners beautiful, because they are going to be visible if you're going to wear it vice versa, or reversible or inside out. Okay, and there we go. Do the 1 centimeter seam allowance and close both the box corners. Okay, and like always, just double check that everything lines up nicely, and to make sure your bag won't go skew. Yep, there I show you. It works lovely. Alright, so now we are just gonna put our ties in their place. Here I've just marked my center. And now with your main bag, also mark the center of your main bag. And then if you would like to put on a label, you can do it now. You can even do it before you start with anything. So the right way is to put on your labels before you start with the whole construction. Alright, now with the right sides of both bags facing each other, I'm going to put my ties in, and I'm going to pin them in place. Now just remember, when you put in your pin, not to put your pin too close to the edge of the fabric, because you are going to sew this whole bag opening closed with a 1 centimeter seam allowance. So leave enough space for your machine for the foot to go through there without hitting a needle. Now that the ties are in place, we are gonna pin or clip our fabric to keep them in place while we are stitching and closing this curve. So now we are going to close one side, like I show you here, from the top all the way around to the other side with a 1 centimeter seam allowance. So when you are getting to the center where the tie is, just make sure that it lies nice and flat and you don't accidentally stitch it. So now on the other curve, before you close that one, you are going to mark your 10 centimeters. Here again I use the water erasable pen. I mark my 10 centimeters. We're going to leave that open for now. So here I clip my curves closed again. Okay, so there where I've marked my 10 centimeter spot, or where I've marked the 10 centimeters, I'm going to start sewing there with a 1 centimeter seam allowance. All of this will make sense to you in a few minutes once we close the strap. Okay, so I've gone all around the curve, and now I'm going to stop where I've marked. So now we are going to cut small cuts into the curve of the bag on both sides to make sure that it doesn't pucker once we turn it right side out. Okay, and now on this curved edge, I like to press my seams open. If I press the seams open here, I just find it that once I've turned it right side out, that the seams are much more flatter, or I don't know if that's the right word, but it lies nice and flat, and it's also easier to press this this opening at the end to create a beautiful finish. Okay. So now this is the exciting part, where you pull your main fabric bag through the opening that you've left open. You can take out the pins for your ties. And before we're going to close this bottom seam, I just like to iron it nicely in place. Okay, and pull the handles through. Good, you can put your lining bag inside of the main bag, and here you will now feel that these curves press so nicely because you did the previous press. Alright, so let's close the bottom of the lining bag. You can here also do a hand stitch, an invisible hand stitch. Okay, now to close the bag's strap. So you open the right side and the lining side on both sides, open them up, and now we are going to join them together, lining up the side seams. I like to take my seams here as well as when I did the box corners. Let them lie in opposite directions. Get a nice finish. And you do this with all the seams. Just take your time here. We are not in a hurry. We want to have everything finished beautifully. There you go. Seams in opposite directions. Great. And now with the 1 centimeter seam allowance again, we are going to close the sling. We are now going to join this sling together. As you stitch, just check that your seams still line up nicely. There we go. Now the sling is nice and closed and we just have this small little opening. I like to press the seam with my hands. We are going to do it with an iron again. But there you can see everything is lined up beautifully. And now we are just going to close this opening. I'm just going to stitch right on the edge of my fabric and close the opening. So first just pin everything in place or clip it in place. There we go. Alright, so now we are going to close this sling and this little opening by stitching all around the opening on either side. So take your time while you work around all of this curves. This is the final step you're going to do on your bag, and this is very visible. So yes, make sure that you do this calmly and beautifully. And once it's done, voila, there is your beautiful bag. Here you can see how beautifully the pressed edges came out, and really something to be proud of. So what's so nice about this stencil, you can add a lot of detail. You can even do some beading on it. You can add more color. Just play around. Do whatever you would like to tell your own story. Okay, so here you can see how it looks now turned around, and it's totally reversible. It still looks beautiful. So yeah, you've got 2 bags in one. I hope you enjoy creating this bag. I hope you enjoyed the process of the stenciling. I hope that opens a new window for you to create a lot of beautiful things with your own finishing on the fabric. So please send me some of your photos. Let me know if you enjoyed making this bag. Yeah, what a beautiful gift also to give to someone. So I hope to hear from you soon again, and thank you for spending time with me. Have a lovely and a blessed day.